Hi everybody, today I'm going to be showing you the pictures that I coloured during January of 2023 and I'm quite excited to show you this month because I did manage to get quite a lot done and you can actually see the progression through the month of me starting by still feeling a bit off colour, having just got over the flu and just colouring to try and take my mind off feeling ill, and getting towards the end of the month where I really start enjoying what I'm doing and I'm getting my mojo back. So you can really see the progression there, I think, through my pictures, but I'll do them in the order that I actually coloured them, so then you can see that progression, and I think it's quite fun. Anyway, this is the first one that I did, and this one is in keeping with my rabbits theme for the month. This is from Alice in Wonderland colouring book by Jasmine Becket-Griffith. And I did this one here, the first one I did this month. And this is done with, I think there's a bit of a marker base. Yeah, there's a bit of a marker base, her dress and her hair and her skin. I went on top with Castle Arts and Arteza pencils. I did the cat with Arteza watercolour pencils, just to get this nice bright turquoise blue for the Tim Burton kind of style Cheshire Cat, which I thought would fit in more with my kind of gothic interpretation of Alice here. These little bunnies at the bottom, my mind told me they were dust bunnies, so I've made them look really dusty grey, sponged on a few bits of paint and splattered a bit of grey watercolour and gouache paint to make them look really dusty and fuzzy, and made a cloud of dust along the bottom of the page there. Can you see that? Yeah, a cloud of dust at the bottom of the page, just to show the dust bunnies at the bottom. And this background is scrapbooking paper, using the method where I cut out the shape there in the actual page and stuck the scrapbooking paper behind it. You can see there. So yeah, that's my first one. There's Alice in a gothic interpretation with her little dust bunnies. The next one that I coloured is from Circle of Life by Melpomeni Chatzipanagiotou. And I still don't know why I chose this one, because I've said before I really don't colour mandalas, and this may not be fully a mandala, but I think it's enough of a mandala that I really had to push myself to finish it. I'm sorry. It is a beautiful picture, but really I don't do mandalas. It's not that repetitive, but yeah, I don't know. I just really had to push myself to finish this one. And this one is done with Castle Arts gold pencils. There's some gold gel pen, some silver gel pen here on the dragonfly's wings. There's some glitter glue on the, let me see it, on the doves. I wasn't sure what kind of birds they were supposed to be. I made them into doves with the glitter glue. I stuck on a few little crystals there as well, because they were like little kind of circle things. I wasn't sure what they were actually supposed to be, if they were supposed to be berries or what they were supposed to be, so I put some crystals on and it seemed to work okay, so yeah, I went with that. And yeah, they're all supposed to be slightly different colours, these all bunnies, going from light, medium to dark. I'm not sure if that quite translated, but that was how I've tried to do it, to make them all slightly different, to keep myself interested in finishing the picture. But yeah, that's that one from Circle of Life by Melpomeni Chatzipanagiotou. And around this time I started watching some videos by A Cluttered Life, and she really seems to love using water-based markers in her colouring book. And one of the techniques she showed was colouring with the water-based markers, like Crayola super tips or something along those lines, and then going on top of it with water and like diluting it and making it into paint on top of the paper. And I had tried that before in another book, but the paper was terrible, and from what she was saying, that is why I couldn't get it to work. So I thought, oh, maybe if I use better paper I could maybe get that to work. And this is my first attempt, and this is where I started to have fun. And considering how repetitive this background is here, oh, this is from Animal Wonderland Special Colouring Heaven by Kanoko Egusa. And like I was saying, considering how repetitive this background here is with all the poppies, and being poppies, flowers are just not something that I tend to colour in very much, I really enjoyed colouring this background with the poppies. I just coloured on with the super tip, went on top with the water, diluted it, and yeah, it worked really well. It does get a little bit messy. I don't know if you can see Yeah, you can see it bleeding over the edges there occasionally. That's where the white gel pen comes in. It's really handy to just tidy up the edges. But yeah, if you do try that, be prepared for it to be a little bit messy, but it is super fun, and it works really well on this older Colouring Heaven paper. The newer paper, not so much, but we'll get onto that a bit later. So yeah, this background is all super tips diluted with water. That's all I used. The middle bit is marker based. There we go, marker based, those little bunnies there. And as you can see, when you dilute the super tips with water, it was bleeding through a heck of a lot. So I had to have a couple of blotter pages, just scrap paper in between these two pages so that nothing got through. And the bunnies in the middle, yeah, marker base. And I shaded those in. I can't remember if it was Castle Art Gold or just normal Castle Arts, but most of it is just shaded with the grey because I wanted to try and make it look as if it was painted onto like porcelain, kind of raised kind of dome of porcelain in the middle of a frame. So most of it is just shaded with grey, and yeah, a little bit of colour in the front just to bring the bunnies forward a little bit. But yeah, that's why I put these little highlights on the edges there to kind of give that shine, like a china or porcelain in the middle. Not sure it entirely translates, but yeah, it looks pretty good, I think, at the end of the day. So there we go. That one is from Animal Wonderland Special, Kanoko Egusa. And next I thought, oh, well, maybe that technique with the super tips might work in my Blue Angel book. So I moved on to Dreams of Dragons and Dragonkin by Ravynne Phelan. And this one technically isn't a bunny, maybe. He's a Draculope. From what it says in the description, he says, Draculope is a mythical creature from North America. It's described as being like a jackrabbit with antlers. So this one is a Draculope, so part jackrabbit, part dragon. So I thought, meh, he'll fit into my theme. And again, I used my super tips, diluted with water. And this time I shaded with pencil. And I did try a little bit of Cluttered Life's dotting technique there with the super tips as well. So that works kind of there on his fur, I think. I highlighted with white gel pen. I've used some Dovecraft glitter glue on the bunny's wings. I've tried to make those be kind of like the focal point. Yeah, you can really see how well this technique works on this paper. The way this kind of galaxy sky has turned out, that was so much fun to do. And on this paper, it barely bled through. You can see a little bit of shadowing here. And this is because the black I was trying to use was Faber-Castell water-based marker, and that was, yeah, it wasn't in the same league as super tips. It wasn't dissolving, and I really had to try to blend in this black at the top. It worked eventually, but that was a bit of work. Everything else, yeah, went really well, and I really enjoyed coloring that. I really got into using the super tips as watercolour this month. It was really fun, and I loved it. So yeah, there we go. And the colour palette for this one is taken from one of Ravynne Phelan's own colour palettes. I think it's on the back here. Yeah, this colour palette here. This colour palette here where the dragon is yellow gold, and there's little bits of kind of galaxy effect with pink and blue and purple. And that's the kind of colour palette I wanted to try and use on the bunny. I think my yellow went a bit too bright, but yeah, I think it suits him. It really makes him stand out from that pinky purple background. So yeah, he was super fun to do. Yeah, and he's by Ravynne Phelan from Dreams of Dragons and Dragonkin. Next we go to Fantasy Creatures Special Colouring Heaven. And the one that I chose from here is by Selina Fenech. And this is the one that I coloured for my tutorial on how to make watercolour effects with coloured pencils. And this is done with using Bic Kids pencils, really cheap kids kind of pencils. There we go, just to show that you can use this technique with pretty much any pencils. Well, all the ones that I've got anyway. I've done it with Castle Arts and Arteza, I've done it with Crayola, I've done it with Bic Kids. So yeah, I've always managed to make it work. I'm not sure it would work with like really super soft pencils. You'd have to really keep your pencil sharp to get these edges, but yeah, that one was really fun. And I actually I forgot I was filming, carried right on colouring this right to the end, got really absorbed in it, and I finished him in less than 4 hours, which for me is a bit of a record, but I really enjoyed him. Yeah, I was really having fun by this point. We also have a bit of gold gel pen on these little curlicues around his head, and some stick-on crystals that I've used for a bit of bling on the top there. And these, I love to use them, but if you did want to colour anything further ahead in the book, you would be able to, yeah, you'd be able to feel them underneath. So you'd have to pad it out with a lot of paper, but I will deal with that bridge when I come to it, I suppose. I'll figure out what to do. I have done it in the past. I've just put loads of paper and it hasn't worked too badly as cushioning the jewels, but yeah, that one is by Selina Fenech from a Fantasy Creature Special, Colouring Heaven. Next, we went on to another Colouring Heaven, Bad Girls Halloween Special. And this time, again, I used the Super Tips as watercolour, just colouring onto the page, adding the water. And on this paper, it didn't take to it quite as well. It did bleed through quite a lot, same as the Kanoko Egusa, but you can see from all the wrinkles here, the paper really didn't like it very much. The paper didn't like it very much at all, and it was a lot harder work to try and get the colours to like spread out. You can still kind of see the pen marks like along the edges here, along the edges of the background. It works quite well in the background, I think, but yeah, you can still see the pen marks quite a bit. So yeah, on her face, I used the technique, because these colours weren't blending as well as I would have liked them to, I used the technique where I scribble on a plate and lift off the colour with a damp brush to give her the shades on her skin, little rosy cheeks there. So there we go. Yep, that one is by Yuriko Shuru from the Colouring Heaven Bad Girls Halloween Special. The next one is from Steampunk Animals Special, Colouring Heaven by various artists, and I'll show you the original picture before I show you my interpretation of it. The original picture was this Steampunk Bunny, which is by Sam Deacon. The idea I had for doing this little bunny is to turn him into an actual blueprint. So I'll show you how I did that. First of all, I scanned him into the computer and I printed him out onto blue card. This is very, very thin blue card, just for kids crafting. And I printed my bunny out onto there. I went round all the outlines with the white gel pen to turn him into a little blueprint of a bunny. When I scanned him in and printed him out, my cardboard got a little bit wrinkled in that corner. I think there folders, just the one. And this splodge of ink came through. So how I coped with that was I tried to make it look like it was like an old, well-used kind of blueprint that's been in a steampunk engineer's pocket. It's gotten folded up, creased, wrinkled. So I drew in these creases just with coloured pencils. Oh, white is, I think, could be Arteza. The grey, one is Crayola, and I think one is Castle Arts. I drew in the creases. I drew in this coffee stain, coffee ring, that's actually drawn in. I drew around the outside of my mug, and then I used my watercolour kind of technique with coloured pencils to make it look like the coffee had splashed and gone around the edges of the cup. This black stains is black ink, just drawing ink, that I splashed on with the paintbrush. And these fingerprints, you can see here that they are actual fingerprints. My other half was a very good sport, and he put his fingers in the ink and gave me fingerprints on there as if somebody had been holding it like that and building their little bunny. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how he came out, and yep, super fun. You can really tell that I'm experimenting, enjoying myself, having a lot of fun with these now. Yeah, that's my bunny by Sam Deacon. And next we go on to Millie Marotta. There we go, Millie Marotta's Animal Kingdom. And for this one, it was also a bit of an experiment. Let's take that tracing out. Here we go. This is my bunny from Millie Marotta. And the bunny himself, on the actual page, he was drawn like he was made out of flowers. I don't know if I can find one sort of similar so you can see what I mean. He was like this. He was like that fox. He was made out of flowers. and I didn't want to colour all those in. That would drive me bonkers probably. So what I did, I traced him out. This is the outline of the bunny there. I traced him out, and I drew in a little waistcoat because he's supposed to be based on the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. So I drew in the waistcoat, and I collaged him. I cut out the paper, stuck the paper on, and made him into my White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. This background has the pocket watch, again to tie in with the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, and I actually cut out the page and stuck the paper behind it, because behind it is wallpaper pages, and I don't think I would ever colour those, so I wasn't too bothered about losing those. I just wanted to make my nice background for my bunny, and I love him. He was super fun. I finished him like in an evening, I think, pretty much. And he's all collaged. There's a little bit of, I think that's gold Sharpie, to go around the inside of the pocket watch and around the edges of his waistcoat. He's got his 2 little crystals stuck on, like stick-on pearls for the buttons on his waistcoat. It's all scrapbooking paper, except this pink is like craft paper. I think it was from a set, pastel colours for Easter that I got at some point a couple of years ago, and it seemed to tie in really well. It matched with the purpley colours, and yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how he came out, and yeah, I think fun is the name of the game at the moment with my pictures. And there we go, that's my bunny from Millie Marotta, Animal Kingdom. Next we go to Colouring Heaven Halloween Special, and this is one that I also did for a tutorial, kind of how I colour. This is also by Yuriko Shiru. And again, I tried the colouring with super tips and adding the water, but because this is the older paper, it took it really well and worked exactly how I wanted it to, pretty much. Yeah, this is all super tips. I think I shaded on top with just some drawing pencils, some graphite drawing pencils, and to give it a kind of old sort of faded look. And this background is for the tutorial where I showed you how to do the chalk pastel kind of grungy parchmenty style background with paint splashed onto it. This is the gold for these bits is gouache paint, and the brown kind of darker ones, that's watercolour, just splashed on top. And yeah, that's what I came up with for that one. Just as a side note, in that tutorial I did mention that usually I use hairspray as a fixative, but I've been warned against that. Apparently it does make your paper turn yellow. I haven't noticed it myself, but I'll probably be staying away from it in future. It does fix the pastel on the paper, doesn't make it rub off on your finger, but it can make your paper turn yellow apparently, so yeah, just bear that in mind if you do want to try. And that is by Yuriko Shiru from Colouring Heaven Halloween Special 66, I think. Yeah, number 66. Next we have another tutorial. This is from Legends of Japan, Colouring Heaven by Maud Lamoine. And this little bunny was for a tutorial on how I use glitter glue. So he is very blingy. You can see him shining away there in the light. So much sparkle. I coloured him up pretty quickly, so he was based with alcohol markers and shaded with pencils like Castle Arts Arteza pencils, just to shade him in quickly. And this effect with the alcohol markers at the bottom, that's what happens, me being experimental, enjoying myself, having fun again. I wanted to see what happened when you put nail varnish remover on top of alcohol markers, and these kind of spots, white spots and splodges, that's what happens when you sprinkle nail varnish remover onto alcohol marker. And I played it up a bit and added a few little kind of watercolour effects with pencils on top. But yeah, the spots, that's nail varnish remover, so I might have to play with that again. Yeah, that one's Maud Lamoine. I think it's Bunny Island, that one is called. Rabbit Island. And there he is. I tried to keep with kind of Chinese looking colours with the jade green, the deep colours, purple for the kind of swirly clouds in the background, golden sun. Yeah, he's quite a fun one. I do love using glitter glue. It's very sparkly. Lastly, we have a picture that isn't a bunny rabbit, but I did say that if I really wanted to colour a picture, then I would colour it, and I really wanted to colour this one since I bought the book. And the book is Beauty of Horror 5 by Alan Roberts, and this is my favourite picture in the book. The only problem was the background. The background was like a repeated pattern of hearts and boxes, which kind of makes sense because it ties in with one of the band's songs, but I just couldn't face colouring all those repeating patterns, so I made my own background for this one by collaging some note paper that I rescued from being thrown away after it had coffee spilled on it. I managed to use it for this background. I think it works really well, actually. Yep, the picture itself is coloured with Castle Arts and Arteza pencils. There's a bit of silver gel pen on one of the outlines, and the big black outline around the outside, that's Crayola Super Tip, just coloured onto the page and smoothed out with a black pencil. I think it was a Castle Arts black pencil to give those black outlines. And then I collaged on this note paper, kind of doodled a few stars and things, wrote a few of the song's lyrics. I did look up the video for this song, Smells Like Teen Spirit, to try and get the colours kind of sort of right. I think I did his jeans slightly the wrong colour. They're supposed to be more grey than blue, but hey, it's near enough as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, I really like the way that background works with it. That's just old note paper, a little bit of watercolour pencil to kind of enhance the coffee stains, to give it that old kind of, it's supposed to look like a school book, like, you know, when you're in school and you're doodling your favourite band and writing their lyrics and stuff on your notebooks, and yeah, doodling away with all these stars. I thought, yeah, that fitted in really well. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how that turned out. That was my favourite picture in this book, and yeah, I really had fun colouring that one. I did try and film making this part of the background to try and show you how I did that. I'm not sure if I can edit that into a video or not. We'll have to see how it turns out, but if I do, that will be up on Saturday. I'll try and get that up for Saturday. Yep, that is my Kurt Cobain from Beauty of Horror 5, Alan Roberts. Not a bunny, but really fun anyways. My theme for next month was chosen by my son. And he chose Star Wars first, and he said maybe that's a bit too specific. So he said, okay, sci-fi. So I'm going to go with sci-fi, anything that could fit in with like science fiction, like robots or anything like that. And I managed to pick up these 2 Doctor Who books on eBay over the weekend. And the second-hand, they're already used. There's quite a few pages that have been started, but I thought maybe I could do a video on working with a page that's already been started, like some of these, and see what I can make of that. I don't know, just an idea. But yeah, this was the one I was thinking of trying to work with, that one, and make a video how to work with pages that are already started. I don't know what people think of that idea, but I thought it might be fun to try and film the process of trying to work with a page that's already been started. So yep, that's one of my ideas that I wanted to try and get started this month. There won't be as much coloured this month, I don't think. It's looking to be pretty busy for me, but I will try and do as many as I can. And again, if I feel like colouring another picture that doesn't fit in with the sci-fi theme, then I'm going to go for that and just do whatever I think I'm going to have fun with, I think. But yeah, that's about it for today. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed seeing what I've coloured in this month. Take care, everyone. See you in future videos. Bye!